All right. We are back. We're back with another episode of the Fuel of Crutch podcast. Let's talk about it. This is season 4, episode 6. Again, this season is all about building community. In this one, I wanted to do special, and especially for Black women, as is Women's History Month. And with that being said, I've got 4 phenomenal entrepreneurs, Black women that are doing things in their industry, in their field, that I feel like needed to be shared and brought to the forefront. Like I said, I'm huge on building community, and I think already with them having conversations behind the scenes, that we're already establishing that community within ourselves. So giving people a chance to come in, but I'm going to drop the intro and then we're going to jump to it. So again, yes, we're back. Fuel of Crutch podcast. Let's talk about it. Again, we've got 4 amazing women that are entrepreneurs as we celebrate Women's History Month. We're going to bring them on stage, and then we're going to get going with the podcast. I want everybody to go ahead and say hello and introduce themselves. We can start first with Veronica.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Veronica Barnes. I am in Chicago, Illinois, but have some roots in Madison, and I am owner of Mindset to Money, which is a holistic financial wellness business focused on both income generating as well as money management strategies, and the creator of the Generation Wealth Conference, which is a multi-generational financial wellness conference that's going to be held in April 26th. In Chicago.
All right. Next, Lady.
Hi, I'm Lady. I'm the owner of No BS. We specialize in pleasure products, and we host events with open spaces so you can be comfortable to talk about intimacy free of judgment. I'm based out of Madison, and that's me.
All right, Annette.
Hi, everyone. My name is Annette. I'm a sports and IP attorney. Essentially, I assist athletes, influencers, and entrepreneurs in protecting their brand, as well as securing brand partnerships.
All right. Appreciate it. Jay, last but not least.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jay. I am the founder and owner of Jay Winston Coaching and Consulting. I'm based here in Madison, but my business is location agnostic. And really, we partner with purpose-driven individuals, teams, and organizations that are striving for growth, balance in their lives, and sustainable success. And our mission is all about empowering folks to lead, connect, and thrive with greater clarity, purpose, and joy.
All right. Well, after introductions, I kind of wanted to play this video since I have, again, 4 phenomenal Black women entrepreneurs on here, and then we can just talk about it from what you guys think.
The most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the Black woman. The most neglected person in America is the Black woman. That if the white man will do whatever is necessary to see that his woman gets respect and protection, then you and I will never be recognized as men until we stand up like men.
All right. So for me, I saw that post this weekend, and I was like, I've got to play it at the start of the podcast because I felt like there was some truth to it. And without us Black men standing up for you guys or in general, we're not holding up our end of the bargain. And so with that being said, having these Black women entrepreneurs on here, I wanted to hear what you guys thought about it. We'll start with Jay. We'll go backwards.
I think it's interesting, Jamal, that you share that, because on my podcast, my One Voice podcast, we were just talking last week about intersectionality and how it's so much more than a buzzword, and kind of diving a little bit into how the term was coined. And Kimberly Crenshaw, it was interesting because she realized that there was really not a framework for us to be able to speak to the unique experiences of Black women. We know that a lot of the injustices that we experience in life are often overlapping, but there wasn't, again, that frame. And when there's no frame, you don't see it. And when you don't see it, you don't talk about it. If you don't talk about it, you're not addressing it. So that's just the first thing that comes to mind, where it's just like, okay, like, we have this really unique and dual experience of being both a woman and being Black, and then specifically being a Black woman. And there's a lot of other intersectionalities that can exist as well. But of course, that's hits home for me. And I know that those identities can create unique and layered experiences that can be tumultuously beautiful, for a lack of better words. So I'll kind of get us started with that, and however other folks are resonating, feel free to add.
Annette, chime in, please.
Yeah, definitely. I think you really hit the nail on the head when you're talking about, we come from a perspective of being a woman and also being Black, and now combining the two. When we're in multiple different spaces, especially when we are the minority, it does become difficult to frame the conversation around what that feels like, what that looks like, how do we deal with it. And I think over time, we've become so accustomed to what we've been experiencing, good and bad, that we just kind of learn as Black women, we're strong, we just figure out how to get over it, or we figure out how to move forward, even though we're carrying all of that with us. So it definitely is a conversation that needs to happen. And it has so many layers to it. Like, we can't just have one conversation and be able to get to the root of that.
Sounds like a whole nother podcast episode. So we're going to put a pin on that as well. Lady.
That one actually resonates hard, in particular in my life right now. So I'm glad you played it. Being one of the only Black woman in my job currently. So I look around and there's no one that looks like me. In the industry that I currently work in, job-wise, which is finance, I didn't feel that in other industries, but I feel what it's like to be the only Black person in that room, and it doesn't feel great. Not saying that, it's a feeling. I never felt that before, so I'm like, you know what? This don't feel right. This got to do better. I feel like we have to put this facade on. We overcompensate, or we have to be so much better than the next, so we overextend ourselves, and it's like, it's not even worth it anymore to overextend ourselves, because I have to prove to you that I'm qualified to do what everybody else is qualified or overqualified, or you give me more work just because you know I can do it. Just because I can do it doesn't mean I should be doing it alone. So it's, yeah.
No, that's real.
Women and Black women in corporate America is a whole nother topic.
I'm sure that can be very, very exhausting.
It is draining at the end of the day.
Veronica.
Yeah. I think my takeaway from it is almost more of like a call to action in the sense of the importance of community, and how do we support one another. I think just sometimes there's a lot of divisiveness even amongst within our own community. So how do we focus on supporting one another? And to me, it's kind of like, how do we bring that to the focus, especially in the current environment of things.
All right. Okay, I appreciate y'all taking time just to tap into that. Anybody that's listening, please chime in the comments if you got anything that you'd like to add. But I want to jump it off by kind of just asking you guys, what does community mean to you guys on an individual basis for your own experiences or what you're doing moving forward? We'll start with you, Veronica.
Yeah. I think community is key. That's actually, I know I kind of mentioned briefly the conference, but that's one of the themes for this year is because I know for me personally, like I've moved around several times and that has always been something that's helped me adjust, like get different opportunities. And I think that it's the phrase to whom much is given, much is expected. And so I think as we look at building community, is looking at from a perspective of how do you also give and pour into your communities and utilize your unique skill sets. So I think community is key and from whether it's like a support system or whether it's like opportunities, that is something that we need to continue to cultivate.
All right. Lady.
You said, what does community mean to you, correct? That was the
Yes.
question. Okay. Um, for my business, community just looks like people supporting me and not even what free of judgment for what I do. Um, because the industry that I chose to work in is so taboo and it has a lot of negative connotations with goes along with it. You have to find your community, that people that, oh, this is something interesting. This is something I want to learn more about. This is something that, hey, I didn't think about it this way. So for me, it's just finding my own, the community that wants me and needs me. And I'm learning that even if I like stop doing I could never stop doing what I'm doing because people are going to be like, wait, you don't do that anymore? Or who do I go to? Or you're so open and free to talk about it. So it's like to be able to give people that outlet and a safe space to talk about something that's not regularly talked about in a positive way. It feels good. So it's like I'm using that and giving my voice to give that back to my community because it makes me feel good. So to know that I am wanted and needed, even though if I don't see it on a regular basis, it feels good. In my community, I've seen that in my community.
I know at one point we had talked about, promotion beforehand, and you were kind of weary about it. But which is crazy to me because it's something that probably 90% of adults engage in.
Yep.
Whether they're comfortable with talking about it or not, it's a part of life, especially it's an important part of adult life. So I appreciate you with your bringing this to the community, and I'm surprised that the community isn't larger. But we'll go into that later. So Annette, let's hear it.
Yeah, I think community is a huge part of what we do. I think for each of us, actually, like our community is our support system. Our community is the people that need us. Our community is the gap that we are filling. Our community is those who help us become or be who we need to be. So I think we have to look at it in two different ways, in our personal life as well as our professional life. Like, so I'm an attorney. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter. I couldn't be in those roles without my community in my personal life. I couldn't do what I need to do in my professional life without the community and support system that I have in my personal life. So I think it's a really huge part of what we do and how we are able to accomplish the things that we accomplish. Like everything that we do, we're not doing it by ourselves. There's someone that helped us along the way. There's someone that's encouraging us in those moments that we get discouraged or we feel like we don't have a safe space. There's a safe space for us. Like we're able to do all the things that we're able to do because of our community, our support system. So I think it's a critical part of who we are and what we do and what we accomplish in our professional or personal lives.
I appreciate that. Jay.
Yeah, I absolutely love what was just shared, and I resonate with a lot of it. For me, community is a sanctuary of connection, growth, and shared humanity. For me, it's really about creating space where I and everyone in it feels seen, valued, supported, heard. Understanding that these are our most basic human needs that we have to thrive and flourish in the world, and not just as professionals, but also to what Annette was sharing, but as whole humans navigating the complexities of life. We wear a lot of different hats. We don't always get to take those hats off, and sometimes we're wearing multiple hats. So community means collective commitment to well-being, where we're uplifting one another through empathy, authenticity, intentional care, and accountability that's rooted in love. And I truly believe that when we are thriving as humans, we get to create communities and our own ecosystems that are also thriving. So I think community isn't just who I am serving. I think it's really foundational to who I am as an individual and also to my business, to my work. It's a reflection of my purpose and just a reminder that success is most meaningful when it is shared. So yeah, I resonate with everything. That's my added 2 cents.
Shout out to my uncle who done hacked my mama's page. He's tapped in listening. But piggybacking off of what we were just talking about, I wanted to know a little bit about the background. So like when it comes to community, how was the community that you guys grew up in, and how did it support you and kind of make you who you are today? We'll start backwards. So we'll start with you, Jay.
Ooh, okay.
Yes, the processing in real time.
So yeah, I feel like my community has played a really big role in my life, and I think I have had a lot of communities throughout my lifetime, and I currently have a lot of communities today. And all of those communities, no, not good, bad, right, or wrong, have all served their own purpose, whether it was reflections to me of things that I wanted in this life, or if it was reflections to me of things that I did not want in this life. All of it was very valuable in helping me to shape, okay, who is Jay? How do I create Jay? And what does it look like for me to navigate this world and be in community with people based on my experiences of community? So some of those things I've been able to carry with me through the years, and some of those things also informed the creation of new community norms that make sense for me and in the way that I choose to live my life. But I'm extremely proud of where I come from. I'm extremely proud of what my life represents. And I think that is a great reflection of the various communities that I've been fortunate enough to navigate, be born into, to create for myself, to get connected with in this lifetime.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Annette.
Can you repeat the question for me, please?
Just more so around the community that you grew up in and how it shaped you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So I think I grew up in a lot of different communities. Like I'm West African, so I have that community growing up. I grew up in a big family. I grew up in New York, so that's another type of community and influence on my life. And it's just interesting when you're at a point in your life when you're an adult and you look back at how these different communities impacted you and how they helped you grow, how they empowered you to become who you are today. So I think there's a lot, like she touched on briefly about, like, there's a lot of different communities that played a different role at different stages in our lives. And that is just so important to be able to look back and understand that. And then even so after I graduated law school, I started my own practice right away. And a lot of people told me not to. A lot of people tried to stray me away from that idea. But in that, I was able to build a new community and mentorship and other colleagues that were a bit ahead of me in that program or doing the same thing and be able to learn from them. So community is just really important in regards to how it impacts us and how it empowers us or deters us from certain things. So everything has its own influence. And I think it takes take time to reflect and understand how something is influencing you. How does it influence your morals, your values, your decisions in life, and how you, I guess, make those decisions going forward.
Thank you. Lady.
Community, mine, to get me where I started from. So I was born in Chicago. So I've lived in Chicago for 10 years, my first 10 years of life. And then I moved to Madison. So I think being born there and being raised here is like kind of for me like the best of both worlds, because in a weird sense, because I have that mindset of loyalty, commitment, and giving it everything my all, being surrounded by the people who influence, and being aware of my surroundings and noticing things more often, and being more alert, I should say. And then being here and into my adulthood, I'm still growing my community. I'm still fine combing out what Mercedes' 34-year-old community looks like, and where does that take for her personal life and her business life. But family has done a big part of that. That's a main part of my community. And it goes from my grandparents, like my great grandparents. I have a great grandmother that's still alive. So that's a big part of like, oh, she supports me in what I'm doing. And she's 98 years old. So if that's the only person that supports me in what I do, that means a lot. And that's a major foundation of like, okay, I'm doing something with a purpose. And I don't know, it makes me, I could shift one way, I can be a different way. I'm also very versatile. So I think being from Chicago, being raised here for the most part of my life, gives me that versatility that some people don't have, or that some people can, and that allows me to be able to be relatable to other people. So I think it's done a good job. Like I said, I'm still fine combing what this new community looks like at this age of my life and this step. So.
All right. Veronica.
Yeah. Yes, I would say some of the things kind of resonated just in terms of the importance of support from your community. For me, I've moved around just a lot in life. And so I think that's made me very adaptable, but it's also made me understand the importance of community going into a new space, as well as I think trying to be part of others' communities that might, I don't say like that might be new. And so trying to also kind of understanding like what that feels like, switching schools and moving cross country. But I think now more so in my adult life, some of my friends joke when I get asked where I'm from. They're always curious what I'm going to say, but I think it just helps me like adapt more and kind of be relatable with different experiences and different people. And yeah.
So Annette tapped in on something that's huge to me. Talked about mentoring. That's one of the things that I pride myself on doing, being a part of, and giving back in a way. Do either of you guys have a mentor or someone that you currently view as a mentor? You could popcorn that one, because some people do, some people don't.
I guess I'll go ahead and start with that. As a Black woman in sports, I have a lot of mentors on social media that don't actually know me, but like I look at their journey, I follow their journey, I understand, or like try to understand what they're doing, their route, and like how they're handling things, and that helps me understand our role in that space, or that space that's available for us. Definitely going to, one thing that I'm doing this year is going to a lot more events, a lot more networking events, a lot more conferences related to that space that I want to continue to grow in, because that's where we're going to network, and that's where we're going to meet more mentors, or someone who's doing what we want to do, or growing in a way that we want to grow, to be able to see how they're doing it and learn from them, whether it's close up and we have that personal connection with them, or it's from afar and we're like, oh, hey, I love what they're doing. I'm inspired by what they're doing. Let me find out more about what that looks like for them.
No, I appreciate that. I just thought about what you just said that I hadn't even thought about. The people that inspire you from afar that they don't even know that they've had any influence on you. So no, I appreciate that. Anybody else?
I don't have any mentors. Um, it's once again my industry that I'm in is taboo, and it's like I always feel like I hate asking for stuff, and it drives me nuts. I'm working through that as a Black woman.
You're not alone, I promise.
You're not alone.
Because it's like, but I always feel it gives me my shyness. Like you wouldn't think that I have a shyness about it, but trying to explain what my goals are and purposes to find someone to help me. So I'm navigating my own lanes. So I'm learning. I'm going to even more this year. Like I said, I'm going to more networking events, so that way I can do more. And like I said, when I started, I did the elevator pitch. Like I need to realize, like I'm my own mentor. I'm my own lane. I'm creating my own thing. It'd be nice, but at the same time, if I don't have it or if there's no one, that's not just because I don't have it. It's not going to stop me from creating it myself or being someone else's mentor. Maybe someone is looking at me and saying, "Hey, I might like to be in this industry. I just don't know how, or who can I talk to, or what can I do?" And I can be that for somebody, even if I didn't have that. But somebody wasn't that for me. So
yeah, I definitely see a lane where you'll become somebody's mentor because somebody's going to see this and see what you're doing and want to follow and going to need some guidance. But also, Black women, if you're watching this, Mercedes is looking for a mentor because they may not be in your industry, but they have created businesses and grown it and networked to connect with people because your line of work is not just in Madison. It can definitely be taken across the country.
You're international. Don't limit yourself.
Right. It's gonna take off. It's gonna
stamp on that passport.
I'll jump in really quick. So I will echo some comments that Annette made. I think I'm at the point where I have intentionally curated my social media platforms to reflect the things that I want to consume. And it is surrounded by a lot of powerful Black women and women in general that are in the same industry as me or doing the work that I'm doing. And I think it does for imaging purposes. I think it is important to be surrounded by people who are doing the things that you want to do at the scale that you're doing at the scale in which you'd like to be doing it. So I know there are a lot of people all over the world who do inspire and motivate me, whether they know it or not. If opportunity presents itself, I do always communicate that, hey, I've been watching you from a distance. I see what you've been up to. Like you've been inspiring and motivating me in these ways. And this is what I'm learning. And I think people are always shocked to actually hear that there are folks, whether locally or across the world that are actually keeping an eye out and are tapped in. So I make it a point to share that when I can. But I also am in a space where I am intentionally looking for formal mentorship. I would consider that mentorship a little bit more informal, just kind of getting what I can get and passing and letting what lands land. But we were just talking about community earlier and, relationship. And I am in the process of actively pursuing a formal mentoring relationship. I think that would be very beneficial for me where I'm at in life and things that I know that's on the horizon for myself and for my business. So yeah. And I have served as a mentor too, informally and formally to others. So I think, lifting as you climb and building as you grow is important. But I recognize that I've been giving a lot and that's okay. I think I'm also coming into a place of what does it look like to give to me and to pour into me in the ways that I do for others. And that kind of sparked all right, you might need a formal mentor. So that kind of sparked this journey over the last 2 or 3 months.
And don't let it be something that deals with age, because you can have your peers that are the same age as you that can be a mentor in certain things. It could be somebody younger. So we're just speaking in general about mentorship. So definitely, if you got experience or knowledge in something, you can definitely be a 23-year-old mentor for somebody that's 30. So just putting that out there. Veronica.
Yeah. No, I definitely have lots of mentors, and kind of to that point, like some of them are different areas. One term I heard not too long ago, but the concept of having like a board of directors, and kind of basically having, it's like mentorships, but in like strategic different areas. And even when I think about just like initiatives that I haven't done before, I try and think about who in my network I might be able to connect with. And so I'm all about mentorship and trying not to necessarily like recreate the wheel, but learning from others' wisdoms, and then also kind of reciprocating that as well. But I would also say, like, I've learned to try to just kind of put out there what I'm doing more too. And then that, a lot of times I've seen people have kind of gravitated to that if it aligns with what they're doing or their experiences. So I found a lot of like strong mentorship connections that way also.
All right. I want to shift just a little bit. I want to find out, just because I know what you guys are kind of doing currently. What was your dream career as a kid, though? Like, what was the little you wanting to do and be? Jay, you laughed the hardest, so we're gonna start with you.
Little me wanted to be a lawyer. And although I did not go into the law profession, I do see a lot of legal skills and qualities and attributes about myself present even in my career as a HR professional. So, yeah.
All right. Annette, you was the second loudest laugh.
As a kid, I wanted to be in architecture, actually. Like, I wanted to be in architecture. I would like draw out like blueprints and everything like that. Like, I still to this day enjoy seeing like buildings and how they're constructed when they're really like thought out, and like it's like, wow, that was really creative. Like, the cities that I enjoy are those that have really good architecture. So as a kid, oddly enough, I think it's like a weird thing. I don't know anyone else who like was a little kid and wanted to be an architect, but that's the earliest dream career that I can remember.
All right. The other two was kind of stoic, so we'll just go with Lady.
I just laughed quietly. That was all. Ironically, I wanted to have my own business. It started as me wanting to be a caterer, do cheesecake, make cheesecake, because one of my grandmothers had her own cheesecake business. I used to go door to door selling little bubble signs, like you draw the bubble sign letters and stuff, like positive phrases. And I used to go door to door when I lived in Chicago as a second grader, selling those. I thought about having a childcare business. So it's always been, when I look back at it, because I've been asked that question before, I look back at it, it's always going into business for myself and having my own business. So
Full circle moment.
It's definitely a full circle moment. So
shout out to you for not wanting nobody to tell you what to do.
Yeah, I don't like that. I know I'm married, but I don't like being told what to do. So,
Veronica.
Yeah. So I actually wanted to be a lawyer growing up too. And it's funny because actually I'm in HR also. So
like, look, advocacy, some negotiations of me being a little arguing. No, but yeah.
Yeah, documentation. Yeah. But yeah, I think that was my childhood career goal.
So with that being said, let's dive into a little deeper of what y'all are doing, and then tell me the why behind where it came from, what sparked it, what shifted what you did, or just like that reasoning for why that particular industry. We'll start with Lady because it's a little different. But clearly you other three really like school, because those occupations, that was going to require a lot of school. So we'll start with you, Lady.
I've always been interested. Like, I've always had a curious mind. So what got the business started was I looked at other businesses that I went to, like do parties and stuff. And I was just like, I could go and work for one of those and like make commission and do that. But I'm like, why make commission when I can reach out and resource and start my own business? So like I feel like I have this special gift that I'm like, okay, it's just me. So when people found out this is what I started doing in my business, they're like, it fits you so much. Like this, if anything that you were doing, and if you know me and grew up with me, you like, yep, you should be selling toys. You should be talking about products. This is your lane, and it feels good. My
I got so many
why.
more questions, but I'm not going to go into that today.
I'm full of answers. My why is because I don't. There's nothing wrong for me. Like we're just gonna say pleasure. There's always a negative connotation about sex. So I'm like, it should never be taboo. It should never be something negative. Like it's something pleasurable is good. It's not always bad. And I learned that in doing my business and selling toys and talking to people, I'm like, some people don't know themselves enough. So I feel like if you can experience yourself before you get into a relationship or before you allow someone else to experience you, it's like, okay, I'm confident in this. I can do this. I don't need this to validate. I can do it myself. So it gives you like an empowering thing. It's a whole thing, but it's like I can help people find a ways to explore themselves and with their partners in a more fun, free, and expressive way without judgment, without like crave the curiosity of it all and like have fun with it. It doesn't have to be one way, but just enjoy it. Have fun like it's supposed to meant to be doing. Enjoy it. So why not enjoy it? Try things. If you don't like it, you ain't ever got to do it again in life. But at least you tried it. So do it. It's open people's mind. I think that's another thing for me. It's opening people's mind and getting that stigma away. It's not making it so taboo. Once again, I never choose the easy route of things. So this is one route that I'm like, okay, it's not going to be taboo.
No, shout out to you for that. Just again, we're adults.
We are.
I'm going to go on a limb and say we've all engaged in these things. So, and then having those conversations, like it shouldn't be a hard conversation to have.
No, it shouldn't be awkward.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So
no,
you make it awkward. You make it weird. That's when it becomes weird. So yeah.
All right, let's slide to Veronica.
Let's see. So let's see. So I started Mindset to Money during the pandemic. And I think that was a big catalyst, was just seeing like disproportionately how personal finances kind of impacted the Black and Brown communities. And so wanted to find a way to kind of outreach with information and access to information. I would say even just kind of like through some of my like volunteer work and mentoring, like talking to students where it almost seemed that finances could be like a barrier from them like wanting to achieve their goals. And so trying to like break down those barriers, both from like a mindset piece and then also like the education around finances.
All right. Annette, because I'm super, super curious about yours because the NIL thing is new anyways.
Yeah. So I guess just to give more information about what I do. So I work with athletes, influencers, and a lot of entrepreneurs with actually like establishing their brand, protecting it with trademarks, negotiating deals, drafting contracts, helping them get brand partnerships or NIL deals. And like you kind of just mentioned, NIL is fairly new. It stands for name, image, likeness. So pretty much, can you use what I do, who I look like, my face, my name, my talent, along with whatever it is that you're trying to monetize? And I think maybe it's been about max 4 years now that it's kind of been out there floating, continuously changing. And it's still very early on in that space that the schools are trying to figure out what to do with it. Like the athletes are still trying to figure out what to do with it. And this kind of ties into my why, because I feel like this shift is going to be a huge generational wealth shift for people that look like us. And the biggest way to take advantage of that is to have education, to have that knowledge, to have the right resources, to have the right people on your team, and to know how to like maximize that space and that time right now when it's still actively changing. Like, how do you take advantage of being in this early stage of this phase if you are a high school student? Because a lot of states allow high school students to accept NIL deals. And then in college, where you can make millions of dollars before you even go pro. And especially for women athletes in like basketball, when you go pro, your maximum you're going to make is maybe 200K or 250 a year. Whereas you could still be in college, finish your degree, and make more than that from having the right type of partnerships, as long as you're able and know how to take advantage of that. So that is a bit more about what I do and the why. So it's really important for me to be able to be in that space and work with the athletes that are talented and look like us, that don't know how to utilize this space, this time right now, and take advantage of it. Because either you're going to take advantage of this time in this space, or someone is going to take advantage of you.
You could say that again.
We at some point during this whole thing, we're gonna make sure that we give out information so people can reach out to y'all on an individual basis to try and pick your brain, or maybe lock in, and maybe even want to become a client or something along those lines. Jay.
Yes. So I'm very fortunate enough to be able to build a practice that resembles the work that I do in-house for my organization. I stepped into this work because I saw firsthand how burnout and disconnection and bad management and lack of clarity and all of these other things, lack of support, how they were fracturing mission-driven teams, and ultimately the impact that it was having to people on a personal level. I wanted to create a space where leaders, and when I say leaders, everyone is a leader, because leadership is action-based, it's not title-based. So like, where can leaders and teams break free from these cycles of being overworked and, being misaligned, and instead like really cultivate environments where people feel empowered, valued, inspired to do their best work. So professionally, I am an organizational development practitioner. And you cannot develop an organization without developing the people who make up that organization. So, when we're investing in individual development, whether that be through coaching, meaningful engagements, training, learning experiences, we're not just supporting personal growth, we're also laying foundation for sustainable organizational success. So I think I love being able to, navigate this space, because, when you help people feel supported and connected, they get to lead with greater clarity, greater purpose. They get to collaborate better with folks. Your innovative juices are flowing. You get to solutionize in ways that you might not have thought about and tap into some more innovation. So I think this work for me is so much more about productivity. Yes, that is a result of it, but it's really about honoring humanity. And I think the way that the world is changing post-COVID, our geopolitical climate, our health and well-being, and so many other things, I think it's important for all of us on the individual level and also on a systems level to start rethinking, what does it mean to lead ourselves in our lives, lead our teams, lead our orgs, lead our businesses. Because we're not going to have thriving communities, thriving organizations if our people aren't thriving. So that's a little bit about my business and the work that I like to do.
Oh man, appreciate it. So we do have 2 questions in the chat from Johnny Winston, no relation, to Jay. I just wanted to put that out there. But his first one was, how important is having a formal education, bachelor's, master's, or doctorate in your line of work? So we'll start backwards and we'll start with Jay.
I would say that in the industry that I work in, the value of the bachelor's degree it's decreasing. So having a really strong background in education, there is a lot of push for folks with master's degrees or supplemental experience or doctorates. I do have a master's in education, and I have supplemented that with some professional certifications. So especially in the coaching industry, like clients really do look for that credibility. Some people have the credibility through 30 years of experience, and some people have the credibility with the time and the credentials. I'm grateful to have a mix of both time, tenure, and credentials. But I think that's going to look different industry by industry, but at least for the work that I do, it is pretty important.
Go ahead and talk your shit. Brag differently. I hear you. Annette?
So it's very important to have a formal education for what I do, just because of the legal side, more importantly. There are some aspects of it that don't necessarily require that aren't tied into specifically practicing law. But to be a lawyer, you do have to go to a law degree program. You have to go to law school. You have to graduate from that program, as well as sit for the bar exam and pass it in whichever state you're going to be practicing in. So that is the level of a doctorate. It's a Juris Doctorate specifically. So unfortunately, you have to do your 3 or 4 years of undergrad, however fast you finish it. And then you have 3 or 4 years of law school, whether you do the full-time program, part-time program. Then you spend your time preparing for the bar exam, and God willing, you pass it sooner than later. And then you get sworn in, and then you can practice.
All right.
Yeah, a lot of school.
A lot of
Shout out to
some
the
people
JD.
got it in them.
Lady.
You don't, for my industry, you don't necessarily have to have a formal education. For more as far as like, even with what one of my goals is to become a coach, an intimacy coach. And that's just certification, and it's just you taking 18 months program, or like I'm doing self-teaching myself. You can always self-educate yourself in whatever field or industry you do. You don't always have to, particularly with my industry, you don't always have to go to school, because they don't teach you, they teach you what they want to know. So it's nothing but picking up a book and like, oh, hey, I'm curious, I'm interested in it. Why is this interesting? So it's like, okay, I like this. I think people will like this. So I guess reading will be formal education. Just read and feel it. So yeah.
Veronica.
Yeah. And I was a bit of a career switcher. So I started in finance, corporate finance. And so I would say it was the bachelor degree was good for that. And then when I was looking to make a career switch into HR, I was kind of exploring a few different options, like whether to get my master's in HR, or I ultimately ended up getting my MBA. I'm always just trying to think about like what might give me more options. And so yeah, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily required, but also similar to Jay, I also kind of did some professional like certifications, and I think some of it's tied to my profession, but some of it is just kind of like what I want to learn about too, similar to like Lady. So just kind of explore other ways. I like to study.
Hey, listen, it is okay if you like school. Do not let anybody tell you that that's not a cool thing to do. I think it is. People are lifelong learners.
Yes.
Yeah.
And some people learn differently. And for me, my background is education, yet I have also created my own business. Do I wish I would have learned something about business behind the scenes? Yes, because it would have helped me along the way when it comes to books and tax, all that stuff. It makes sense to make life easier, but it's not necessarily required. So I got a question because I want to see what you guys' thoughts are based on where you're at today and what you do as far as your own businesses. What is the end goal or long-term goal of what you guys do individually? We'll start with you, Veronica. That processing in real time.
Processing in real time, yes. I think, I don't know if that's probably something I have to like give some more thought into in terms of just like the overall like long-term vision. I would say I've been encouraged by seeing the momentum from like both the workshops and even have been more motivated with just like the current like I'll say political landscape to kind of do the work that I'm doing more, and also just getting the receptiveness in terms of the need. So what right now I would say one of my focuses with the conference is last year was my first year doing it in Chicago. So it's definitely like a learning experience. It went well, but like this year I'm trying to really use this year as more like solidifying a blueprint, and then kind of explore ways to expand it for further like maybe geographical outreach or building a community upon it. So still TBD, but I think ultimately my goal is to figure out how to increase the outreach for the financial wellness information.
Okay. I got some ideas, but we'll keep it moving. Lady, talk to me.
My end goal changes. Ultimately, it stays the same. I believe my purpose is to solely help people with pleasure intimacy and educate them. So more lines of having my own sex coaching practice. I don't think that there's anyone, let alone a Black person in Madison, that has actual intimacy coach to allow you to be open and just a safe space for you to explore things and get to know yourself and your partner. And then I also want to have my own line of products. So that way I can give like homework assignments. Okay, this is what you want to try. Go home and try this and let me know how it works or feels or something like that. So
you sound like you might have the first therapeutic practice that men are going to want to sign up for.
I mean, I be telling people it's your friend. I tell men all the time, these are your friends. They use them in conjunction, okay? Don't be afraid of them. But I really want to help people in that aspect because some people think that it's not a big deal or it's not a large part of their life, and it truly is. So I just want to help. I could do that in my own, business, and what's the word I'm looking for? Consulting will be a thing. So
okay. Annette, I mean, on top of everybody on this call could probably use you, but go ahead.
I think goals, or what I see this growing into is becoming a larger agency, to be able to have a larger, I guess, grow awareness and a larger reach in regards to being able to help the community that I'm looking to serve or that I'm currently serving. I don't know if there's specifically an end goal, because since things are changing so quickly, that end goal may most likely change along with that as to what that looks like. But keep doing what I'm doing and affect more people in a positive way and be able to help and pour into other people's businesses and be able to assist them and grow in the direction that they want to go. So, yeah.
Jay.
Yes. So, I would say there's two goals. There's a personal goal, like my business is a way for me to live my highest value of autonomy. Like I want to live an autonomous life. And I know that my business is supporting me in creating that life for myself. So being able to do what I want, when I want, how I want, because that's what I choose to do, not because I have to do, that's important to me. And when I think about the goal for the business, I am still scoping out what that looks like from, maybe an objective standpoint. But right now, what remains most important to me is that no matter what the goal is, knowing that it will change and evolve over time, as long as I get to continue to live my life's purpose through my work, I think that is the ultimate goal. And that's just being able to, serve as a mirror through my coaching and consulting practice to allow people to truly see themselves and discover who they are, not who they believe they are, but who they really are. Like once we kind of transcend those limiting beliefs and those habits that are holding us back from our greatest potential. So as long as I'm being able to do work that empowers people to be all that God has created them to be in this lifetime, I think that is going to be a great goal for the business. So,
all right. Appreciate that. I do have a great question now. This is the part where you guys are going to have to be a little vulnerable. Business is not easy. It's also not what people think it's going to be when they think that you're going to be rolling in the dough right away. So can y'all share what are some of the struggles that y'all have had in order to get there, and more or less in the time frame, how long have you been doing it? And we can start with who went first last time? We start with you, Jay.
So I have officially been LLC'd since August of 2024. I have been consulting on the side probably a year prior. And the best way I can describe this is building the plane as I'm flying it. I don't know a better analogy to explain the journey of entrepreneurship.
But you're still in the air.
Yes. So you in the air. You got to do what you got to do so you can stay in the air. Sometimes you might dip, turbulence comes, you know what I'm saying? But you're like, okay, what's the pieces that I need to kind of like make sure that this plane stays in the air? So there is a lot of grace that I have to extend to myself because I'm learning as I'm going. There's a lot of mental reframing that has to take place on my part, where it's like, this is not a reflection of who I am. Like, this is just a new journey. So it's going to be scary because it's new. It's not scary because you're not capable. You know, once you get it, you're going to thrive and you're going to do well. But it's kind of like working through those kinks, tapping into resources that I did not imagine that I would be tapping into, when you think about wanting to make sure that your business is, legally protected, and, financial investments for your business, and building out a financial wellness plan, and taxes, and all of these back end things where it's like, I want to do what I love, which is the front end stuff. But in order to do what I love, I got to do the things that I don't care for too much, but also allows me to do what I love.
Outsource.
Or outsource. And I think that's, at least for me in my business, like a future step when you talk about scaling. But when you're, at least for myself, getting your baby off the ground, like I am literally nurturing my business out of its infancy. And like an infant, it does require intentional time and care and thoughtfulness and like checking in and all that stuff. So it has been growing me and stretching me in a lot of beautiful ways. It's also been very affirming. That's like, okay, I got this. I'll have my moments, but I got this. And this feels good. And this feels right for me in my life. But yeah, that's just a little bit about my journey so far.
All right, Annette.
Yeah, you touched on a lot. And I think the one thing that I can say that really just like pulls it all together is like the entrepreneurship journey is very revealing. It shows you a lot about yourself, a lot about what you're trying to build and also like your weaknesses and the gaps there. I first started my practice in January of 2020. So right when COVID was making its way into our lives, and that probably wasn't the best time because the world was shutting down. So one thing that I guess the first 6 months were like the biggest trial and error for me as a new business owner is like, okay, how do I manage my personal expenses as well as my business expenses? Like learning what is my minimum, what is the floor that I have to make to cover what I need to cover. So I'm good, so my business is good. Like, what does that look like? What are my goals each month? How many like new clients do I need to get? Understanding what that looks like for me. And then also another big thing was, I think you touched on it in regards to outsourcing. What am I capable of doing and what makes sense to outsource? What is something that I don't need to handle? Like because a lot of, I charge flat fees, but a lot of lawyers charge hourly for a lot of things. If your hourly rate is $300, what can I pay someone less to do in that hour? So now I can save time to actually focus on what I can't outsource, what I actually have to focus on. My taxes, getting legal support, support staff, paralegals, whatever it is that can potentially be handled by someone else that is going to cost me more and save me that hour, which is the equivalent of this hypothetical $300. What makes sense to do? Building out a team and hiring right. Be slow to hire and quick to fire, because you have to build your team right. You have to make sure you're hiring the right people. You have to make sure that you're setting up your systems properly so that you can have someone do it in the way that you want them to do it. Because many times when we are slow to build out a team or have other people help us, it's because they can't do it like we do. And we like the way that we do it. So we don't want someone who's going to come in and do it wrong. And then now we got to spend more time correcting it or showing them how to redo it or whatever it is, or nitpicking all the time. So it's really important to make sure you have your processes in place. Like, what does that look like for you? How are you like notating or detailing all of that so someone else can come in and do it the way you like it? So there's a lot of things that entrepreneurship or just starting a business, bootstrapping in a sense, taught me very early on about learning how to do that. And then also making sure that like you take care of yourself in the process. Like, yes, you're running a business, but you're wearing a lot of hats and you are a person. You are a human. You need to pour into yourself and you need to make sure that you're taking care of your mental health in the process of that, because burnout is real. I think Jay mentioned it earlier, like that is something that can literally paralyze you in your business and can hurt you in the long run if you keep ignoring it and don't take care of it. So those are a lot of things that I learned early on, and I'm still learning, because I feel like it's a continuous journey of like revealing more about who you are as an entrepreneur, but then like, okay, how do I do it differently this time? How do I learn from that? How do I better my business and help myself and help the community that I want to help? So there's a number of things in there that you learn along the way, or you find someone to help you along the way.
And also listen to this, y'all, for anybody that's listening. All of us probably do not want to or like to ask for help. It's hard. And if we do, and you drop the ball, we probably not passing it to you no more. I want y'all to know and understand it's not personal. It's business. Lady, go ahead.
Well, I too have been in business for 5 years. I started in 2020. And I started with blindfolds. Like, I got printed blindfolds. I had bought blindfolds off Amazon, had another small Black-owned business, vinyl, no BS on my blindfolds. And I was nervous to start, and they were like, well, COVID, this is the perfect time to start because ain't everybody gonna be in the house. They ain't got nothing else to do besides the do.
So, bless them COVID babies that happen.
Right? I actually got some no BS babies, so I'm like, yes, all right. But I've been in business for 5 years, and I think my biggest thing for me, and what I'm still learning and realizing, actually looking back on what I've done, I've realized that I do a cycle process. Like, I'll have good events, or I'll have good months, and then I have one bad month or one not good event, because I also do pop-up shops. So people come, I'll put up shop at an event or a party, and some people come to me and buy stuff, some people don't. and it's a little tug of war back and forth. And sometimes I don't take rejection well, and I have to take the personal out of it because they're not rejecting me, but it feels personal when you get the looks, especially with what I do. So I realized that I'm like, okay, I'll have to take the personal out of it. And once I realized, I'm like, okay, it's not me, it's y'all, it's them that don't want to, and that's fine. If you don't like what I do, if this is not your cup of tea, I'm not forcing it to be your cup of tea. I'm my most valuable lesson that I learned. I'm the only person that's in my way. I think I learned that in realizing that I'm also scared of my potential.
Oh.
Because I know I have a gift and I know what I'm doing for the overall purpose is for a good cause and good reason behind it. But it's nerve-wracking because it'd be like I'm the oldest. I have the start of a generation. So it's like a lot of other big sister, big cousin, things that I'm doing that hasn't been done. And I'm stepping into that stone. I'm breaking into my own lane. And I realized I was also trying to follow other lanes. And I was like, every time I try to go down somebody else's path or a different lane or the same lane, it's like, nothing goes right. This is not for you. You're not supposed to be over there. You're supposed to be over here in your own lane and your own path and your own journey. So this year was my year to say, Mercedes, get out of your own way, because people like you have something to talk about. You might not have all the words because there's still a shy moment for me to actually communicate effectively without what's the word? Not the authenticate, but I can't find the word that I'm looking for. But just to get out of my own way, open up more, talk. This is my second podcast that I'm doing and talking about it, so that made me feel good. So everything slowly, once I get out of my own way, it's starting to fall into place. You're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days, but my goal is my passion will pay my bills. So as long as you got the passion and drive to continue to do your business, do it. Somebody like it, and as long as you got one person supporting you in your corner and you want to do it, just go ahead and do it. But it's definitely hard. It's definitely hard. You gotta take some risks. You gotta trust in yourself. Articulate. That she Carla was on it. Articulate myself correctly. You just finding the words. But yeah, that's the biggest thing. You're most likely standing in your own way. And once you decide to move out your own way, everything just starts falling into place.
I think that's a lesson for everybody, regardless business or not. You got to get out your own way to move forward. If it's something that you really want to do, you can't do it because somebody else wants you to do it. Veronica.
Yeah, so I concur with a lot of things that have already been shared. So I would say the only thing I maybe would want to add is I heard this phrase before, entrepreneurship delusion, or like you had to be a little bit delusional to be an entrepreneur. And that really resonated because I could have big dreams and can realize like, okay, I'm only one person and, capacity, and have had situations where at those points, like, again, grateful for my community because people in my community stepped up and helped, bring some of those goals to fruition. But I think it's good to like, that's why you are in entrepreneurship, is because you have the vision and goals. But I think being practical in the sense of understanding, like Annette said, like what makes sense maybe to outsource or to get support in. There's a book that I read recently, Buying Back Your Time. And then there's another one called Essentialism, but it really helps kind of focus on like what makes sense for you to do and maybe what makes sense for you to kind of like outsource or have a process around. And then I think with Essentialism, I think that also kind of touches on the fact that, we can't pour from an empty cup. So in balancing all the things, how are you making sure that you're focused on what's really important and critical? So those are just my 2 cents that I would add there.
All right, I definitely appreciate that. I'm going to ask for you all to kind of share what you like, your next thing that's on the horizon, whether it be an event or a next facet of your business or anything along those lines. I want you all to take a turn to share and kind of provide some details, as I will do the same. So we will start with you, Veronica.
Okay. So I am organizing the Generation Wealth Conference. It's going to be in Chicago on April 26th. It's a multi-generational financial wellness and career conference. So everywhere from high schoolers through, I say high schoolers, college students, young professionals, parents. So we're trying to encourage families to attend together. And we'll have topics to increase exposure to different career fields, everything from investing, home ownership, a health and wellness session, because even though I focus on financial wellness, it's with the intention that you're able to be in a good financial state to focus on what really matters in life. So that's going to be April 26th in Chicago at the South Shore Cultural Center.
All right. Lady, you got something on the horizon?
I'm working on it. I have to remember I'm also one person and I have all these ideas and I need to take my time and I can't do it all, but it's going to come. But I do parties called No Born Nights, and normally they're booking, people will book a party for me to come. But I'm working on doing a ticketed event. I've done a Naughty Sip and Paint, but this time I want people to experience the full what a No Born Night looks like, in a sense. So I'm working on the details for that, to have that hopefully this summer as an event, gives us people in Madison something to do, or people to come to Madison just to do it, so, and experience it. Because people that have been to my parties and they're like, you should do this more often. That's where I get my, like, I'm a whole different person. Like, I'm more excited. I'm eager beaver. I'm just like, yes, let's do this. Because it's fun, it's a good time. So I want more people to experience that. So I'm working on doing an event for this summer.
All right. Annette.
So this is actually the first place that I'm talking about it.
Hey, yeah.
I have not announced it publicly, and it's something that is in the works and will be launching next month, but essentially creating an NIL accelerator program. So for high school athletes and their parents that really want to set themselves up essentially to be able to attract the brands that they want to work with, to take advantage of the NIL opportunities that are there, they have essentially a VIP day where we go through everything and each of the steps will be addressed, and we go through a strategy, help them get set up, and also pitch them for certain partnerships. So that is something that is in the works and will be launched next month.
All right, make sure you get me a flyer or whatever I can to share and support.
Will do. Thank you.
But yeah, first place to hear it get launched. I'm geek now. Jay.
Yes. So Jay Winston Coaching and Consulting is partnering with Legacy of Love on a joint venture. It's called One Voice, and it is an affinity-based group coaching cohort. And it is dedicated and geared towards K-12 educators and educational leaders who are experiencing the tumultuous times of navigating our current educational landscape. So education has greatly changed over the years, less and less funding, less and less qualified educators, and so many other things that are happening in that space. So this is dedicated time for participants to be supported through mentorship and coaching as they work through different series and sessions, topics that allow them to collaborate, learn more about themselves, learn more about their students, and really strategically solutionize in a way that allows them to have the lasting impact that they would like to have in their schools, in their students' lives, and in the education system more generally, because education is the responsibility of everybody. We are all responsible for educating and supporting our youth and preparing them for the realities of the world. And we know that the current education system is not cutting it. So how can we lean into community, build that community, flex that muscle, and making sure that our educators have what they need to support our babies. So I'm really excited about the group coaching, and we've already started our intake process. We got 5 folks completing their intake right now, and we'll still continue to keep intake open through the rest of the month. And we're going live with our first session at the end of April.
All right, cool. So, for me, I've got the Determination to Succeed Community Mentor and Awards Banquet coming up next month, April 11th from 6 to 10. I've got on the books, I've got 2 speakers. Dr. Rainey Briggs will close it. Future Dr. Kaylon Jones is going to open it. I also will be doing it's because the Community Mentor and Awards Banquet is serving as a fundraiser, but at the same time, we're going to honor members of the community are on the ground doing the work. There will also be some honorees that will be recognized for the contributions that they've done over the years as well. But as the fundraising event is going to support me doing my second annual the Determination to Succeed Back to School Summit, where I am going to work with students, Black male students. Just unfortunately, they are the ones that are lowest performing in K-12 and in higher ed. So the goal is to give them skills, strategies, and tools to have a successful school year. But also with the funding, the goal is to carry a cohort throughout the course of the year. Well, they'll also be learning different skills for them from a group level, from curriculum created that supports them, whether it be creating the self-identity, self-advocacy skills, and a multitude of other things. But also we're going to do some exposure opportunities. One of the things that I want to do, if I have the funds to do it, is to take the cohort to the Circle City Classic and get them exposed to something completely different. One, if they've been to a UW football game, going to see Norfolk State is going to be a whole different experience. And with that, we're going to also have a community service project, and just keep them engaged, because we know at some point in the school year there's going to be times where it just is a struggle, but with them having a community to support them and uplift them and then still give them information and game, that is going to support them and keep them connected and moving forward. So that is
I did forget one thing.
Go ahead, drop it in there.
I'll be releasing new products March 15th. So
That's
I
coming up
completely
soon.
forgot about that. Yeah, that's this Saturday.
All right, new products coming. We do got one other person who has been super helpful in helping me with a lot of the stuff that I've got going on with the Community Awards Banquet. She asked, for those community members that may not be able to support you monetarily, what are ideal ways you'd like them to support your businesses?
For free 99, like, share, invite your people on your page to also like and share people's business page. Like, that drives engagement. It absolutely costs no money, and it allows us to get, I'm saying us, yes, it allows us to get connected with our potential clients who are aligned with our brand and the services that we provide. So never underestimate a comment to drive engagement and to push the post onto other people's timelines, and also just sharing and liking. Like, I don't know.
And don't be afraid to share other people's stuff, y'all. Like,
just to, I guess, add on to that, another thing is, like, say our names in rooms that we're not in.
Yes.
If you know of, like, oh, hey, someone's struggling with intimacy and they spoke to you privately about it, Lady got some products coming out next Saturday. So, like, say our names in rooms that we're not in, because that is also exposure offline. Because that's as important as that engagement online.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes. I would agree with both of those statements. Just like, share. If you know somebody interested, or you think somebody may be interested, it's just, okay, this person does this and this and this. Or when people ask me, do you know, the person that consults in businesses or financial literacy or future, my son is a basketball. He's in middle school, but I'm pretty sure that he's going to have some other kids that are in high school that plays really well. Things are going on. If I know you have something that's beneficial and that you're doing something for the community and it's a product, and I know somebody that can use that, I'm going to say your name regardless. So just, yeah.
Veronica, you got anything to add with that?
No, I agree with all those statements. So.
All right, so I don't want to overstep too much of y'all's time. My favorite question that I love to do when I do this podcast is, what would you tell your younger self that, like, if you could know based on what you know now, what would you go back and tell yourself to just aid you along the way? I'm gonna give y'all a minute to think about it before I call on anybody, because I saw everybody self-process that one. So I'm gonna give you a second. But also, while y'all are processing, I want to share this also. When the Community Mentor and Awards Banquet, we will also have opportunities for individuals and companies or businesses to promote their business inside of the program. And if you have any interest in that, please reach out. You can do it, text or send a message to me at Facebook, Instagram. You see me in the hallway, public, networking. Reach out, send an email, a signal flare, don't matter. We'll work it out. All right. So we're gonna jump out of order this time. So we're gonna start with you, Annette.
I knew you were about to do that. I felt it coming in my spirit.
I'm like, cut me some slack, please.
All right. What would I tell my younger self? I would tell her a lot of things. I think the first thing is really just believe in yourself. Trust your gut. You are who you need to be, and you will become who you want to be. Lean into your community. Lean into your resources. Don't be afraid to ask for help. It's okay to explore different avenues, because at the end of the day, you are going to be wherever it is that you're going to be. You're going to land where you're supposed to land, because all of these different experiences are helping you become who you need to be. So I think I'll leave it there.
All right. We're going to jump because we're doing it out of order. Lady.
I knew that was coming. I will tell my younger self something that I recently discovered this year. Allow yourself to be unapologetically you. Like, live your life and your truth to who you are out loud. Because once you do that, everything that's meant for you is coming to you. Everything that's meant for you to have. Once you accept you, regardless of what naysayers say or anything, just unapologetically you. Just be you. You are enough. Yeah, that's it. You are enough.
That was it. You are enough. Once you said that, I knew it was over. Oh man, we're gonna jump. Jay, you look like you wanted to jump in, so we're gonna go with Veronica.
I thought I was off the hook. Let's see. I think a few things I would probably tell my younger self is, one, just relax, that things work out, focus on faith. I think sometimes we kind of see how things all come together later down the line, but just kind of putting your best foot forward, and also being okay to like reach out for help and support, like knowing that you don't necessarily have to have it all on your shoulders. I think those are a few things that I would tell my younger self.
Faith without work is dead.
Amen.
Jay.
Oh.
You still ain't ready?
The good stuff pop, and then it go, and then it pop, and then it go. I think I would tell my younger self that everything that you'll ever need in this life and all of who you will be is already inside of you. I feel like the biggest piece of my healing journey as an adult was unlearning who society told me that I should be, who I ought to be, and realize that what was left over was my younger self that maybe might have heard the messages that this wasn't right, or shrink yourself, or why do you act like this? And it's like everything that society told me was quote unquote wrong with me is actually everything that I realized is right with me and has brought me all of my success in my life. And that just goes back to honoring who I am, knowing that, yeah, I am, period. So
I would add, for me, it would probably be, and it changes all the time. The more I go through this and the more I do it, self-assess to properly self-reflect. Because I don't know if you can self-reflect if you're not aware, assessing of yourself and your situations. So it would be learning to self-assess so I could properly self-reflect and to be able to move forward. So, with that being said, is there any final words that you guys would love to share, get off your chest? I want you guys to stay on before once this wraps up. But is there any final concluding words that you would like to share?
Thank you. The only thing that comes to mind is thank you. Thanks for reaching out. Thank you for thinking about me. Thanks for extending the invite to be on the podcast. This is my first podcast feature, and I hope there are many more. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to share who I am and what I'm about. And I really enjoyed myself.
No problem. I think this speaks for itself. Representation matters. So,
Yes, it does.
All right. Anybody else? Final words? Oh, I forgot. There is one more thing. My bad. Y'all got to share how people can get in contact with you.
That
because there's going to be somebody that is paying attention to this podcast that is going to want to that wants to come to the Generational Wealth Conference, that wants some coaching, that wants some pleasurable coaching, and who may want some support with their intellectual property. So, Veronica, you go first.
Yeah, so I can be reached, Veronica, at mindset2money.org.
All right. I'm going to get all this information from y'all too, so I'm going to also post it as a post afterwards, but I want them to hear it in real time.
You can purchase products from No BS at whyhaveboringsex.com. You can also book me for events for No Boring Nights on my Instagram, which is one word, No Boring Sex.
All right. Annette?
You can follow me on all social media platforms. My name is at Courtside Counsel, and it's Courtside CNSL. And if you're interested in IP services or trademarks, you can go to my website at www.guardyourmark.net.
I like that. Jay.
All right. Y'all can follow me on Facebook and LinkedIn at Winston Coaching and Consulting. And I'm excited to have a webpage going live at the end of this month. So I look forward to tagging that as well. But for now, you can get connected with me on Facebook and LinkedIn.
All right. Well, I definitely appreciate y'all taking time to come on here and share your expertise and build community with each other and the community at large. So all the Facebook and YouTube people that are watching this podcast, thank you for tuning in, and I will catch y'all next time. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.